It's now time for Trivia Tracks with yours truly, Price Robertson. This edition of Trivia Tracks is brought to you by ProMed Ambulance Services, care you can count on, and Beth Smith at Edward Jones. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC. 21 years ago, come next Tuesday, a pioneering figure in television news passed away. David Brinkley, who was 82 when he died on June 11, 2003, redefined the evening news and redefined the Sunday talk shows. The former at NBC, the latter at ABC. Over the course of his career, he received 10 Emmy Awards, 3 George Foster Peabody Awards, and the Medal of Freedom. David McClure Brinkley was born in Wilmington, North Carolina on July 10, 1920. The youngest of 5 children, David lost his father, a railroad worker, when he was 8. His mother, a homemaker and a staunch Presbyterian, was 40 when her youngest son was born. While attending high school, David began writing for his hometown newspaper. After college, he enlisted in the Army. Following a medical discharge, Brinkley worked for United Press International in several of its southern bureaus. In 1943, he applied for a job at CBS News, but was turned down. NBC hired him within minutes, and at age 23, Brinkley became their very first White House correspondent. In time, he began appearing on television. In 1952, Brinkley began filing reports from the Washington desk on the John Cameron Swayze-anchored Camel News Caravan. Though the name changed over time, Brinkley's big break came in 1956 when he was teamed for the very first time with Chet Huntley, anchoring NBC's coverage of the political conventions. This pairing proved such a success, the network soon revamped its evening newscast as the Huntley-Brinkley Report. Launching October 29, 1956, the program was anchored by Huntley via New York and Brinkley from his home base of Washington. Their sign-off, "Good night, Chet, good night, David," became part of American culture, although both newsmen hated it. During the 1960s, their newscast was number 1. For 2 years, starting 1961, Brinkley concurrently anchored his own primetime news magazine, David Brinkley's Journal. By the end of the decade, the CBS Evening News, then anchored by Walter Cronkite, was beating Huntley and Brinkley in the ratings. Another factor in all this was the AFTRA strike. Brinkley chose to take some time off, while Huntley stayed on the air. By 1970, Chet Huntley felt his time was through. On July 31st that year, he said goodnight to Brinkley for the last time. He died in 1974. Meanwhile, Brinkley remained at NBC, though he tried a variety of roles, including co-anchor of the now renamed NBC Nightly News and delivering 3-minute perspectives several times a week under a reprise of the earlier titled David Brinkley's Journal. He felt tired and uneasy. In 1981, he decided to leave the network after 38 years. NBC Magazine was his last show for the network. Roone Arledge, then president of ABC News, hired him to reinvigorate Sunday talk shows, replacing the low-rated Issues and Answers with This Week with David Brinkley. The program was very successful, combining the long-standing Sunday talk format of panelists interviewing guest newsmakers with a roundtable discussion. For a brief period of time, in 1983, after Washington-based World News Tonight anchor Frank Reynolds was diagnosed with hepatitis that soon claimed his life, Brinkley returned to network anchor desk as Reynolds' substitute. He also found time to write books, including a memoir from 1995, and host occasional specials for ABC. Brinkley stepped down as host of This Week in 1996, but continued to provide his end-of-the-show commentaries until 1997, when he fully retired from television after a distinguished 5-decade career, which stretched from the beginning of broadcast news all the way to the information age. Later in life, he briefly served as spokesman for ADM, the agribusiness firm then sponsoring This Week. Till next time, I'm Price Robertson. Amazed by today's trivia? Then join me for Trivia Tracks weekdays at 6:45 on Everybody's Country Y95.